Oh yes, this is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. And today's show, sponsored by Cheshire Impact, on a mission to help people maximize their use of Pardot and Salesforce. CheshireImpact.com. Bam. Hey everyone. Before we get started with the show, I'm excited to announce two things. First is that my book, Marketing Automation Unleashed, is now live on Amazon. So go get it. The second thing is we have a new sponsor, quantified.com. I'm going to tell you about them in the next couple seconds here, and also how you can get a free copy of my book thanks to them. So who are these people? Well, Qualified is the #1 live chat and chatbot platform for Salesforce and Pardot. Sales reps can have real-time personalized conversations with who? Your hottest website visitors. So I want you to know, I don't just partner with anyone. I genuinely love these guys, and the platform, we use it at my company. Our sales team loves it. We've closed a lot of deals based on it, had a lot of great conversations with prospects too. So, a lot of marketing these days is what? Hurry up and wait, right? Fill out this form. And then if we pass you over to sales, maybe you'll swap 6 emails with them to find a good time to talk. But what if a prospect is doing research right now and they would chat now? Why not give them the opportunity? So the best part is your company actually decides what leads are worth a live chat. There's a lot of noise out there. You don't want to talk to everyone. So Qualified actually connects to Salesforce and Pardot, and it's able to pull in lead and contact information so you can specifically know if you're talking to a VIP, a VP, a decision maker. It's really kind of like magic. Now, if you don't know who someone is, well, what happens then, Casey? Well, that's when the bots come in handy. Chat bots can then ask questions to further qualify a lead, find out if maybe this is someone you do want to talk to. And they can book meetings while your sales team is out. And they can wake up the next morning with a bunch of meetings on their calendar. Now, here's the promo. If you are a company that wants to give your sales team this ability, right, to be able to talk to decision makers right when they're on your website, do this. Go to qualified.com and start a chat, right? They use their own tool, of course. Start a chat. Tell them that Casey sent you. If you have Salesforce Pardot, when you schedule and then do a demo, they will send you a free copy of my book, Marketing Automation Unleashed. Not bad, right? Well, it's only while supplies last. So hop on this thing today. And that's it for sponsors. Let's get to the show. All right. We're doing it. All right. My guest today is mega cool. He's a fun guy, and he's coming to us from Sweden right now, the marvels of Zoom and the internet. And he is a thought leader. He's a marketer. He's an author, winner of the Pro Sales B2B Commercial Director of the Year. He's written a book called Megadeals. We're going to get a little bit into that, as well as he is the CRO and CMO at Proof Analytics and the founding partner at Megadeals Advisory. Formerly a soccer player with an 8-pack, now a mega dad, Christopher Engman. Welcome to the show.
With a dad bod.
Dad bod. Yeah, I didn't want to
But-
I didn't want to guess at the dad bod. I just figured we'll let people think about it,
Yeah. But I've heard that's the trendy one right now. The 8-pack is out, right? So the dad bod is the new black.
I think that might be fake news.
Yeah. I think you're right.
So, hey, welcome to the show. I'm actually impressed with the Wi-Fi happening here today. It's been better than talking to some people in New Jersey lately.
Right.
Awesome. It's the marketing leadership series. We're going to be talking about mega trends. We're going to be smashing things, figuring out how to grow deal sizes and all sorts of good stuff. But let me pass you this so we can start the show the way we start every show. Here you go. Go ahead, grab this. You got it? There's the handle.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it? That's
Thor's hammer. That's Thor's hammer, right?
Yeah. So take Thor's hammer.
Suitable for Scandinavia, right?
It is suitable, isn't it? It's perfect.
Yeah.
Take that hammer. I saw you one-handed too. You're natural.
Yeah.
Take that hammer, smash for me some kind of myth, bogus strategy, misconception that drives you crazy.
Right. Yeah. So a few words about the background. So I've been doing quite a lot of research around large deals from actually all continents, but also I work on a daily basis within Proof Analytics, and we analyze the go-to-market mix for everything from Intel, Oracle down to B2B scale-ups, etc.
Got it. So you got your
one of
hands
the
dirty. They're in all the data points across
yes,
many
so basically
organizations.
one is a research approach and the other one is a mathematical approach, trying to answer the same question, which is how should I maximize my growth or profits, blending sales and marketing, PR, but also the underlying categories and tactics to maximize growth and profits. So
Wow.
that's the only thing I do. I've dedicated my life to that. So, and what's really cool is that the Megadeals research that actually continues as we speak, and Proof Analytics, they're both answering the same questions, but with two different approaches. So I
Interesting.
have the luxury of being involved in both of those.
Do they
The
ever
first
fight each other? Do you ever get the two teams together and they kind of like snap their fingers like grease and they kind of throw down research versus math?
well, actually, we haven't. We will probably find a few things that are in conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, conflicting results, because research is research, mathematics, mathematics. You're
Right.
not necessarily getting the same answer, right?
Sure.
But still, we haven't seen a conflicting result actually. But I'll go to the first myth. So,
Yeah, smash.
and this one, because probably most listeners are actually coming from the marketing side,
Yes.
but I say this also to sales leaders. So, in the B2B space, the investments and the costs going into sales versus marketing are completely set up in the wrong way. So
Really?
what we found both with Proof Analytics and within the Megadeals research is that the winners are spending more on marketing. So the same amount or actually slightly more on marketing than on the whole sales force, which sounds counterintuitive. But the problem is that we're quantifying marketing in the wrong ways. We can come back to that later. But marketing is really a winner. And typically, if you look at a sales force, there's a pretty large discrepancy between the strikers and the kind of last 25% on the scale, right? I mean, there can be many multiples bigger volumes pulled in by the big strikers compared to the low end.
So that spectrum between the
that spectrum, yeah,
the closers getting their coffee, they're doing way better.
Way better.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so much better.
Better.
Mega better. So what you benefit from, and this sounds a bit harsh, but you cut 25 to 50% of the weakest link on the sales side, and you reallocate. Let's take just half of that saving, and you reallocate it into content, account-based marketing, PR, etc. You're going to win bigger deals faster.
Really?
And especially now, I mean, now it's kind of obvious because we have COVID, right? So now there's we don't really have a choice, right? But that is the first myth, and I think the reason why we have that weird spend is that marketing is quantified in the wrong way, first of all, but also that most B2B CEOs are ex-sales leaders, and they have always seen marketing as something obscure. Marketing is really downplayed in the B2B space when it shouldn't be, actually. So, and I used this insight. It came because I knew Mark was the CEO of Proof Analytics, and while doing this research, I had him whispering in my ear the results of Proof Analytics, and then I had my own research around Megadeals saying the same thing. So I applied this in a company called ClimbOn, where I was the largest non-institutional investor, and I came in as sales and marketing head and CRO, CMO. So, and where I got the chance from the CEO and founder to apply these insights, and we grew from $3 to $90 million in order intake in just 2 years. That is why I won that award, for example. We also got Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Jeff Bezos, and a few other pretty strong names on our finance side.
Jeez.
At a 10 times oversubscribed NASDAQ listing. So it was a pretty successful 2 years. We won a lot of awards. But what I mean, the key thing I did was to take half of the sales cost out and move it into marketing. So we did spend slightly more on marketing than on sales, and that is ClimbOn is selling green power plants. So it's not an app, right? It's pretty heavy B2B, and in the heavy B2B space, marketing. I mean, I've never seen any company spending so much in relationship to the sales cost that we did, but we destroyed, we crushed it. And now that could be sample one. I mean,
true.
That could have. I mean, yeah, it's just 2 years. There's one company, but now the team around Megadeals is applying this both in the Fortune 500 companies in the world, but also B2B scale-ups. So this discipline is now being deployed in more and more companies. So in a year or two, it'll be fun to see some of the results there.
Wow. So why, I'm trying to think of like, why do we do this backwards? And then you mentioned that, a lot of the leaders maybe discount marketing. And I actually remember a conversation I had with an ex-Oracle sales guy who was saying like, look, sales team, you're going to deliver on your quota, and I don't want to hear anything about marketing. I don't want you to rely on marketing, nothing to do with their leads or anything. You need to sell however you can sell. Their stuff, that's like bonus. If we can convert some of their things, great. Otherwise, go find everything. And do you see that a lot where they're counting on sales to be the lead generators by doing the cold calling or just something?
I think the root cause is that most CEOs and regional leaders are ex-sales leaders. And the second root cause is actually that when you look at how marketing is quantified in most B2B companies, we're looking at a last click attribution most of the time. Like, what was the last touch point before they signed up and became a marketing qualified lead? And that's when it's like looking at a photo instead of a film, because they might have interacted with us in 47 social media posts. They might have listened to this podcast. They might have seen quite a few videos on YouTube. And yes, just before signing up, the last click might have been a search ad.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean that the search ad attributed to the whole of the effect, right? It might have been 47 touch points before that.
Right.
And when you run, when you also look at marketing as only a lead generator, typically the attribution to sales become vastly larger. So when companies are talking about how much of the closed deals was marketing generated, that's a bullshit way of looking at it. So marketing and sales in the enterprise B2B space anyway should run in parallel. And they should be focusing on the same goals, which is to win larger deals, more of them, faster, at a lower total cost of sales and marketing. That's when you win. And to do that, you need to look at marketing and sales through the lens of marketing mix modeling, which is econometrics applied on your go-to-market mix. You cannot look at the last click attribution because that is giving you absolutely the wrong picture. I give you an example. So one company that we've been working with at Proof Analytics, they looked at their last click attribution and see, okay, these two tactics have the same ROI in general. Like overall, they are equally high performing. When we looked at it through the lens of econometrics and marketing mix modeling, one of them came out as 50 times stronger. Wow. So 5,000%. Because we're quantifying the long-term effect, the delayed effect that is spread out over a longer period. Mm-hmm. And when you look at that, and you look at it as the same way as people in economy are doing, like when you judge taxes and stuff like that, you see a completely different spectrum of what is delivering value and not. And that's when you, for example, see, which is another myth. So brand, the value of the brand.
Well, hold on, before we get into brand, let me just deconstruct some of these things, because I know you got Thor's hammer back finally now, and you're smashing things. There's a lot here. Do you see a lot of last touch? Because you see it across the globe too?
Yeah. In the US, Canada, Sweden, India. Yeah. I mean, and some of the B2B people that think they're front runners, they use some kind of multi-touch attribution. But the issue is that if you look at the whole customer journey, not just the lead generation journey, but the whole customer journey until they buy, they might have 115 touch points with you.
That's true.
And when you look at it that way, the value of marketing becomes, significantly vaster and bigger.
I see what you're saying. Don't look at just a singular touch. Don't even necessarily. Sometimes I like to say you look at first touch, because at least you can go figure out where you find more. But you're saying broaden it from just first to being, look, marketing, it touches across this whole spectrum.
Yeah, and many of the touches are not. You can't see them in either. So last click is, for example, Google Analytics. typical last click tool. Like,
True.
and Google Analytics has destroyed the mindset of many, especially young marketeers.
Damn you,
completely
Google.
destroying. I mean, they're really destroying young marketeers that think that is the truth.
Wow.
So what you typically see is a company that optimizes their marketing mix towards the lowest CAC, customer acquisition cost, based on the last click attribution. They typically go all in on search and some on retargeting and email shots. So anything that is converting very fast, i.e. the last click, is coming out as very favorable. So Google is benefiting from Google Analytics, right? It's feeding themselves. Whereas if you're looking at a broader picture and you're quantifying the effects, not only on things that are leading to a click, but I give you an example. You might have seen, people might give you an example. People might listen to this and watch our show now today.
Millions.
And they haven't, a gazillion of people, and they have never heard about me or Megadeals or Proof Analytics.
Sure.
And this might have been the first touch. And then they might not do anything, but then they see 2 weeks later, they see a retargeting ad from Megadeals, for example. And later on, they see any of their other contacts posting an article about one of the insights from the Megadeals book. And then, yes, they might do a search, maybe the 12th step.
Yeah.
It's a search. But that wasn't the first touch, was it? Right?
No.
So and most of the things that are happening on social media, unless there's a click-through, they're completely invisible to any kind of online attribution tool, because I can interact with your videos, your posts, etc. You cannot see that in a last click tool. You cannot see it in a multi-touch tool. Or first, it doesn't matter. You can't see it. So even a lot of the online stuff are not attributable in an online attribution tool. Right. So they're invisible. So which makes you draw the wrong conclusions. You're looking at the world through a straw. You're like, okay, this is the truth. So anyone with a week of statistical background would tell you you're completely off track, dude. Right? So, and what often happens that I've seen is that when marketeers are presenting their lifetime value and CAC models that are way too simplified to someone like a CFO, the CFO might have a regression training in their MBA, and they're going, Casey, what is this? How about PR? Are you catching PR? No, you're not. How about the branding stuff we're doing? How about the sales force? How do you attribute that? The events we're running, it's not just a business card, it's something more. How do you attribute that? So you easily, if you have had some kind of statistical background, you easily see through it. So I've been looking at the marketing analytics space for quite a while, but my background is that I did analytics for the Swedish government. I've helped them to run sharper forecasts. So I almost became a math scientist before going into entrepreneurship and marketing. And my best friend Magnus, he teases me for doing cut and paste and branded sausages and stuff. But I do have a mathematical background. So I've been looking at these last touch, first touch, multi-touch. I've been going, I don't believe in it. It's nowhere near the full picture. It's so far away.
I think I've been maybe drinking the Kool-Aid accidentally, but with Google, I was thinking that maybe at least first touch would give us some actionable.
Okay,
but you just
does give you a
situation where I didn't know the first touch. It was the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, it does give you information. So I think for some tactical optimization, you might want to look at the last click cost and all of that. But if you think that gives you a fundament to draw conclusions around how to optimize your go-to-market mix, or more narrowly, the marketing mix, you're absolutely wrong. Wow. It gives you a false feeling of security.
So now my world's ruined. So help me out here. What should I look at?
well, the thing is that the leaders in this space are not completely unexpected. The biggest brands in the world, because they spend so much on marketing, so they cannot under-optimize it. They can't sub-optimize it. They're just not allowed to, because it's just too much money. So they are using what is called marketing mix modeling or econometrics, regression analytics applied on marketing, where you're catching delayed effects, you're catching how much variation you have. And for example, you run events that has a high variation. The outcome varies a lot, whereas retargeting has a very low variation. It's pretty predictable.
Interesting.
Search is pretty predictable as well. You're also quantifying the real ROI. I mean, there is no real ROI, because even marketing mix modeling is a model. It's not the truth. You cannot replicate the truth 100%, but you can create the least bad model. And the least bad model that exists in the market is marketing mix modeling, but it has been too expensive. So it's been sitting in, so the biggest retailers and the biggest CPG companies in the world, they've been doing this for the last 15 years. I mean, if you ask them, so what about your last big attribution? They're going, are you serious? I mean, they really look at you as if you're a complete idiot. So wow. They've been using marketing mix modeling the last 15 years, but it's been staying there because it's been so bloody expensive. It's between $1 million and $10 million per year. That's what they spend on it. Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But what we've done at Proof Analytics, we've automated it. So we made it like you can run the analytics in a few minutes instead of weeks and months, and you don't need expensive PhDs to run it. You can run it as a normal marketing team, and you get a really powerful capability for a fraction of that cost. I mean, it's not even the same solar system. But we kind of taken the easy way out. So the especially B2B scale ups are actually great for us. We're working on some of those cases right now because they're very online heavy. So the data is really easy for us to access through someone like Supermetrics or Funnel.io or someone like that, Adverti. So these funneling tools that are grabbing the data for a multitude of sources. So then those cases are easier for us. But the other kind of companies that we're really working a lot on is the big retailers and CPG companies like Nivea and those kind of companies, because they already have data in place. The medium-sized and small, fast-growing B2B companies, they also typically have pretty good access to data, so we can do a pretty good job there as well.
Jeez, what should we? I mean, how do you approach it? Right, someone who's like, okay, you're right. This is, I'm in not the least bad model. I'm in like not a very good one. I'm not doing last touch, but I'm kind of trying first touch and some multi-touch stuff. They're measuring that as a marketing team. What should they shift to measuring instead?
I think if they already do that, they shouldn't necessarily stop doing that overnight, because it gives you tactical insights like this particular campaign, how should I tweak it, etc.
Okay.
It doesn't give you the fundamental though to optimize resources, money, and people. For that you need marketing mix modeling. So marketing mix modeling.
How does it give you just the tactical? I mean, because nowadays, like a Pardot or something would tie into Salesforce. You'd have some first touch and some multi-touch, but you're right, it's not every touch.
No, exactly. Like every single touch on social media, except for the click-throughs, are invisible to any of those tools you mentioned. It's completely invisible. Right. A lot of interactions today are happening on social media, and you're incentivized to actually, so you get a much weaker reach on social media if you're using click-throughs even. So you're incentivized to post the videos and the messages on the social media platforms. Right. So if you put a link in there, the algorithm is killing it. It's killing the reach. So it's kind of making it tricky for the touch-based attribution tools.
Like LinkedIn's a black box. You don't really know unless they're clicking off, but they want you to stay on. So so it's kind of the double-edged sword there. So I think a touch-based approach is great for tactical insights, because what you can also do, you can run marketing mix modeling on your touches. So you can see, well, this particular touch point is having a high correlation with the sign up. So you can kind of analyze the customer journey using regression analytics and marketing mix modeling, and then be smarter at your multi-touch online play. If that makes, now I might be a bit the brain is definitely smoking, but I'm trying to understand, is this something that every marketer listening to should go take a stats class, or like how if you have a gap, and I clearly have one right now, how do you get from where you're at to where you should?
Okay. So I think most marketing leaders totally benefit from having a basic understanding of marketing statistics.
Okay.
Not just marketing KPIs, but actually statistics. And I posted in our company, we have something we call Under the Hood, which is you find it on Proof Analytics YouTube channel, but you also find it on proofanalytics.ai under Insights. So we have 7 videos that are, so I'm kind of taking a 1-hour class that I usually do on the whiteboard or someone in my team is doing on the whiteboard. We've then made 7 small videos, making that into consumable small pieces.
Right.
So I'm basically standing behind a glass surface, and I'm drawing and talking. So we're trying to make, the math behind marketing mix modeling is super advanced. So most of the people doing it are PhD and higher, but you don't need to do that. You just need to get the popular science understanding of it. And that's what, in those videos, that's what we deliver. We call it Under the Hood, which is kind of the method explanations.
That's cool. No, I will definitely check that out.
And I think you'll love them. They're really, the 2 to 4 minutes each, the 7 of them. You can watch 2 and then skip, or you watch 7, or you watch a few now and a few tomorrow. And then typically you want to watch them again because I kind of got it. Can I just watch it again? And I go, okay, now I get it.
Yeah. I totally get that.
And you or anyone listening, feel free to just shoot whatever questions you have. We're actually planning to run, so for marketing leaders, we're planning to run an online-based training program. We haven't launched that yet. It's probably coming this autumn, which is kind of on the popular science level.
Yeah.
We're teaching marketing leaders the different types of marketing analytics, but we're going into a popular science understanding on the regression pieces, so the marketing mix modeling basically, where you can see things like ads or spillover effects, your marketing product X, how is it spilling over into product Y, things like that.
Interesting.
And how are the interaction effects when you push a lot of TV, how is that building volume in search, for example, just a simple example.
Right.
So all of these things we're looking at. So what you find is that you cannot look at these channels and tactics individually because it doesn't give you an answer. Well, it does give you an answer, but it's the wrong answer. You need to look at them in how they strengthen or weakens each other. You also have cannibalization when you promote a certain product or use a certain tactic. It can actually weaken the effect somewhere else. So, which is, but when you make it reachable and usable for the masses, I think that is going to shift it. I'm quite, as you can tell, I'm quite enthusiastic about what we do at Proof Analytics, because I think we're taking the most sophisticated piece of analytics, we're making it available for the masses.
Well, I think this is a natural evolution that needs to happen in marketing, because I think it's one of those things we all kind of feel deep in our hearts that we wish we actually knew the answers to some of these things. And we've gotten glimmers of them more. Google Analytics is the worst. I probably haven't opened that in decades after I got marketing automation, which is just a less bad thing to what we should be doing. But yeah,
but I think the cool thing, some of the outputs. So first of all, finance is all of a sudden believing in what we're saying, especially when they see over the coming few months that your predictions are right. They go, okay, Case is really doing great stuff here. He's also taking away things that are not working. He's adding things that are working. He's constantly optimizing, and in a way that we believe in. And when they also start to see the real financial results, they start to trust it.
Right.
And then they push more money into your budgets. So it's kind of,
100%. Yeah. You start, the more you can justify.
Yeah.
Anything.
And it's not just what is the value of a bloody lead, right?
Well, talk to me about that. I know we obsess over the MQL. What do you replace it with?
Well, I think you should keep the MQL.
Okay.
So the MQL isn't bad. I'm just saying, don't optimize towards the MQL. Optimize towards sales. And it can now. This is what I'm going to say now is a bit self-serving, because you can only do that if you do marketing mix modeling. And I think this is a notion that is really critical. I think a lot of companies measure MQL as their primary KPI because it's bloody simple.
Yeah,
but it kind of tweaks investments too much into top of the funnel. So what you see is there an overinvestment into lead generation. There's a complete underinvestment into marketing to drive the pipeline.
Really?
Yeah, and there's an underinvestment into marketing going into your existing customer base for cross-selling and upselling. So it's this is another bad balance that we see both in Megadeals and in Proof Analytics in the B2B space. There's a complete overinvestment into leads because everyone's going, yeah, that's easy to measure, so at least we can quantify it. But the problem is it sub-optimizes because marketing. So if I look at how we run it, both at Proof Analytics and Megadeals, and I'm an investor in 14 companies, so we try to look at the full journey.
Right.
So first lead generation, then pipeline, and then the existing customer. How can we grow them? We look at that and see what of this, everything that. So salespeople are often spending an enormous amount of time producing ad hoc content. Yes. So instead, look at the full funnel and see what can marketing do here, not just to generate a bloody lead, but what can we do to take away a lot of time from the best salespeople?
Right.
So this is why the formula works. So when you really start to take time off your best salespeople, they can be in twice as many meetings instead of sitting working on material, documents, answering questions. So it's all contentified, but not just contentified on top of the funnel, but actually full funnel and growing the existing accounts. So if anything you can make into video, anything you make into a Q&A document or a checklist or a longer white paper or a recorded webinar or you can go. So you're doing, okay, Christopher. So I just had a meeting internally and we got a bit stuck on, so we have questions around how to quantify the brands. So we're measuring brand awareness. And how do we do that with Proof? I go, well, here's a 3-minute video on it.
Nice.
And if you want to go deeper, here's a 1-hour recorded webinar. And some of you guys want to look at the 3-minute video and go, okay, I'm fine. I kind of get the big picture. Some of you are more nerdy, like probably you and I, will go, okay, I watch the full hour. I want to see this more in detail. So if you can contentify, and because marketing is so geared towards MQL, we're incentivized to generate leads basically. So we're over-investing in search, in events, and we're over-investing in content that is generated in leads. We're not investing in content that is driving sales.
Right. Yeah. You see that. You see, because there's so much lead gen activity, and then with the organizations that aren't aligned, if you send a lead over to sales, then it's like they own it and you don't touch it. And
and you also have this weird thing like marketing is saying so these are our 20 most important existing accounts, and these are twins, equally high potential accounts that we're not yet working with, but sales are taking care of them. We at marketing, we run in this direction. You cannot get sales and marketing alignment doing that. You need to look, okay, how do we win these big accounts together, right? But if you set the wrong metrics, you're automatically sub-optimizing it.
Right.
I mean, people will run in the direction where they get measured. That's kind of basic.
Yeah. If your swim lane is to literally just generate MQLs, leads, whatever you want to call them, you will just keep doing that. Yeah. And there's a real loss. To your point, those top salespeople are busy doing what your job could be because they're just off on their own.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. You totally see that happening with groups that aren't aligned. Now, I wonder, so to fix that, we need some modeling, and you mentioned even accounts. Like, here are the accounts we want to go after together.
Right.
And I mean, is that sort of that ABM shift where we're talking more about going after accounts together as opposed to let me do just lead generation? Is that part of that same shift, do you think?
Yeah, it is. It doesn't have to be under the ABM umbrella, but it's just in total looking at what is the whole job of sales and marketing combined. And then marketeers should look at what can we steal from sales that they, because if you ask a salesperson, if you follow them into a meeting and you ask them after the meeting, so out of the 17 things you brought up, how many times have you repeated those 17? They're going like 1,000 times.
Yes.
And then you go, okay, what if we made a 12-minute video saying those things, or we can chop it up into smaller pieces. So then the smartest salespeople that we keep, they're focusing on the things on top of that. They're not repeatedly doing the same drill, right?
Right.
And that has to be full funnel, not just lead generation.
Right. Yeah.
And also, I think an easy way, so not just metrics, but also, like you said, an easy way to start to get alignment is to decide, okay, we can't do it company-wide from day one, but let's do it with a smaller group. Let's take these are our 17 largest existing accounts, and they happen to be in 3 industries. So let's group, and typically sales are already grouped, aligned with those industries. So let's put some marketeers behind. Let's do this pilot case for the first industry with these 7 salespeople, and let's have a subset of the marketing team working with sales to contentify and marketingify the full funnel with them, and have your CEO listening to this episode, so they dare or read a Megadeals book or look at Proof Analytics, because we're all saying the same thing. Marketing is underfunded, and it's underfunded in total, and the small money we have, it's totally geared towards lead generation, when it should be towards the full funnel. And then all of a sudden it makes sense to take 25-30% of your sales force, you drop them, move some of that money or all of that money, boom, into content creation, marketing vehicles, etc.
Yeah, tell me about that part then, right? So you sort of trim off sales a bit to get more money you can invest in marketing. What are the places, especially you're advising all these companies, you come in, are there certain areas that you see are typically, I guess everything's underserved except lead gen, but what kind of areas do you start investing more?
So so when I represent Megadeals, especially like in the enterprise B2B space, we recommend the basic formula. That doesn't mean it's the final result, because if the cool thing, the nirvana here is to take the Megadeals recipe, and then you start to apply Proof Analytics as your GPS on top. Then you really calibrate. But it's sometimes smart to take what is kind of a given first, and then you add. So we do it differently for B2C companies, because they are already most of the time more advanced, so we can apply Proof Analytics immediately. In the B2B space, so the simple formula, we have it in the book and our website, etc., is you create messaging based on something we call the messaging architecture, which is a systematic approach to building messaging for marketing, sales, PR, and delivery. So all those 4 teams are synchronized around the same messaging. It's horrible if marketing is talking about Y, X, sales coming and going, our marketing is kind of off, it's actually Y.
Yeah, that's the worst.
And then even worse, you leave it to deliver, and they're going, Casey and the guys are talking about X and Y, is actually Z.
We don't do that.
And the client, we don't do that. The client is going, oh, I can't trust these guys.
Yeah, I signed up for that. I want that. Yeah.
But the deliver people think that they're doing the client a favor by saying, well, actually those guys, they are, they're talking. This is what it really is. Right. And the client is going, oh.
Yeah, and that doesn't help. That just undermines everybody. They're not aligned. Totally. Yeah.
So you need to agree on a messaging architecture, marketing, PR, sales delivery in one room. And it takes too long time to describe. It's covering moving the client basically through the funnel, but also how you increase the audience inside account. So we don't have time to cover that today.
No.
We can run a second episode on that particular piece. And then on top of that, you create so this is the formula we recommend as kind of the basics. You produce 1 video and 1 article per week based on the messaging architecture. You're then using the distribution channels, so everything from classic meetings to Zoom meetings like we're having today, but also account-based advertising, so IP target ads towards your most important 17 or 27 or whatever it is accounts, where you promote the content through ads. You then do PR. Some B2B companies are not spending on PR. PR is almost always severely underfunded. PR is really good for increasing win rates.
Really?
People look at it as an awareness creation piece. It is to some extent, but it's more important on the win rate. because when you're looking at two alternatives, and one of them has been written about in a lot of credible press, you trust them more. I mean, not just by that single piece, like reference cases and
I feel like the trend is that PR is like the old school, the Mad Men days. You don't need it.
And it's actually wrong. You do need it, and that they are actually falling short in the last touch attribution game, because PR, it doesn't give you a last touch.
No, it doesn't.
There is no last click. There's no links in the article that and then a lot of social selling, where you're pushing content not through the brand page, but actually through individuals. This is really key difference. So you push it through individuals. You then use your brand page as a repository for your content. You're not pushing it. So most companies are pushing it from the brand page, and then they have people sharing it. And that's an absolute disaster on LinkedIn, for example. Yeah. If you compare the reach you're getting, so if someone like you or I, we're sharing it first, and then we have our colleagues helping out to share it further and like it and comment it, etc. That completely kicks the algorithms within LinkedIn. Whereas if you put it on the brand page and you share it from there, you get like 3 likes, 2 likes, 5 comments, mostly your closest friends, like they pity you, right? They're like, yeah, okay, like help them. But it's better to have in various individuals being the first publisher, because that plays well into the algorithms of, for example, LinkedIn. And then 1 or 2 days later, you source it back to the brand page. So of course you should put it on your brand brands, but that's not because the companies that are researching your company, they want to go through your brand page, but that's not how they find you. They find you through an individual.
That makes total sense, and it kind of is reminding me. I'm like taking some notes. We got to make sure that we're amplifying our own people and either using their social accounts or whatnot to get it all out there. Yeah.
And also, I mean, you said something there that brought a thought up. So you should also do. So what is a classical mistake is that you have 2 spokespersons. You have it's the CEO and the CFO. They are the publicly approved spokesperson. So in the world of social media, you need to have 10, 15, 100 spokespersons, and you need to let them publish stuff. So use them instead, because your company will look way more synchronized. It won't be, because everyone knows that, my title's CRO, CMO. Everyone knows that I'm trained to do interviews. I'm trained to answer tricky questions. So unfortunately, this is not what I really represent, but my category of person and role says liar in the forehead.
Wow.
Whereas someone that is, let's say someone from R&D is sharing an article, like an R&D person or a project manager or someone from finance, they are more trusted. So what the game here is to use a big portfolio of people as your front people, and not just sales and marketing and not just management, but delivery, R&D, finance, people like that, because they're trusted.
Right.
And you look bigger by doing it. And then you source it back into your branded channel, not the other way around.
I could see how that, some of those simple changes in getting the messaging to be in the same architecture, all those things can have such a huge impact.
Right. Yeah.
Swoop in and start correcting these things.
Yeah, totally. And if you're posting something and it falls short, we don't have to source it back to the brand channel. We just leave it. Right?
Yeah.
But the successful ones, we source them back to the brand channel.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
That way it curates that and shows the best of the best on the brand page.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to noise that.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Wow. Where do you think this is going? What do you see, as the future, more and more people start approaching the mixed modeling, more and more marketing and sales teams are getting more unified? Do you see any sort of trends coming down the line that we can look for, or anything to watch out for?
Well, I think if you look at the sales layer and the marketing layer, what is happening all the time right now is that marketing is eating more and more of the sales layers.
Yeah.
Anything we can produce I know a company running personalized video content. So you have a video, you make a video, but then you personalize it with a database. So it actually produces 50,000 unique videos. So even video content is becoming personalized, right? So you'll see marketing is eating up more and more layers from sales. So you will have, the absolutely most brilliant salespeople, they will always be super valuable, make a ton of money, etc. But they will be more valuable, more and more right now over the coming years. The category of salespeople that kind of vanish, they're the ones that are just repeating the banner, kind of, because that will be, it's better have a lousy salesperson make the initial pitch, or a really well produced video is actually better to show the video. I've even been sitting on the buying side where a vendor came in and said, okay, great, before we start the meeting, I just want to show a video. So they start off by
Really?
this was a telecom operator. They have a pretty big variation of quality in their sales force, right? So they realized that if we just get them to get the meeting, and in the meeting we play this 12 minutes video, that video is doing most of the sales job. And then the salesperson can focus on asking quite a list of questions to diagnose.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, do you have any questions? And also, before we go into deals, I need to know this, and this about you. And that's simple. That is pretty simple. Yeah. But pitching it is more tricky. And then probably what most people are talking about, that you'll see more and more, not just on the analytics side, but also on the interactions, more and more AI creeping in. You'll already see this heavily on the B2C side, where you go into chatbot and is already pre-programmed with a gazillion of answers. So it recognizes your questions, and I see a lot of companies are running a hybrid mode. So they're letting the robot answer, but it's supervised. So then a person can all of a sudden do 10 persons job.
Wow.
Because the robot is taking the simple, but sometimes you go, oh, that wasn't really what he was asking for. So you're kind of jumping in and you're assisting the chat.
Right.
And also, on the Megadeals space, you typically find fairly complex setups. So you find now a growth within configurators. It started off in the car industry where you configure your car, right?
Yeah.
But it's now going into configuring power plants, which is vastly more complex than a car. Right. And that is a job that is better done by computers than by humans, because those configurations are tricky.
True.
To know all the exclusions, and if I do this, I can't put this to it, and if I do that, I exclude this option, and all those kind of, it's fairly complex. So computers do a better job there. So you're finding a growth of configurators creeping into the enterprise B2B space, because they're now highly sophisticated.
That's an interesting trend with configurators.
So a broad statement here is that I think marketeers need to see them as something much more than leads. So if the marketing leaders are seeing, okay, I'm actually the potential person to run this business. And if I'm doing a great job on the full funnel, and my team is starting to take pieces and pieces from sales, all of a sudden marketing will be vastly more dominant internally than sales is. And today, most marketing leaders are lapdogs to their sales leaders.
Sure.
Sorry guys, I'm mostly marketing myself, but
right.
Yeah. So when the sales lead is coming into the room, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. A small dog sound, like,
come on up here.
And that's shit. We shouldn't do that. The today and the tomorrow of marketing is amazing. There's so many things we can do. We can do great analytics, which is proving the real value, not the last click bullshit value. We can start to do content full funnel and eat layer by layer away from sales, and then adding smart robots like the chatbots, but with intelligence and things like that.
Right.
I think a really, but it also puts a lot of demands on marketing leaders, like you mentioned one of the, like a small training on marketing statistics. Yeah, definitely.
More demands for sure. Gotta
understand
yeah.
some, and actually people think AI is technology, and you probably know this, Casey. AI is marketing statistics, or sorry, mathematical statistics. AI is not, well, it is technology, but it's 90% mathematics. So if you understand the basic principles of mathematical statistics, you actually understand what AI people are talking about. Because
Wow.
the really good AI people they're not programmers, they're mathematicians. So if you understand on a popular science level, regression analytics and things like that, you're following the conversation. And you can, if you understand that, you can figure out what is possible within machine learning and AI and what's not possible. Because you understand, I mean, and you don't need to be able to execute it. You just need to understand the terms and how they interact with each other, and kind of on the popular science level, what are the mechanisms behind that kind of mathematics, and you don't need to execute it, and because that's a completely different ball game. Like popular science understanding and execution is just
totally get that. What are some popular science use cases you've seen that have been effective with that use of AI?
Well, I think, again, this is a bit self-serving, but the under the hood videos on the Proof Analytics website, those are kind of giving you seven episodes of regression analytics in a popular science way. But then you can go also to Khan Academy on YouTube. Khan Academy do have, so if you go to Khan Academy, I mean, they're on YouTube. So you go to YouTube, you search for Khan Academy space regression modeling, or space marketing modeling, marketing mix modeling, things like that, or just basic regression analytics. You will find very easy to understand videos. They'll give you the basic explanation. Now, these are not, I do recommend to look at the under the hood videos first, because they're tailored to marketing. If you go to Khan Academy, they're not tailored to marketing, but they are very great at explaining what is standard error in statistics, what is slope, what is delay, and time lag, things like that. So they give you a basic understanding of the basic principles. I talk about those in my videos as well, but more marketing packaged.
Got it. So it sounds like regression analytics is definitely something we need to keep our eyes on, and you do a little
at least get the basic understanding of it. Absolutely. Right. I would invest that half hour on those 7 videos, or go to Khan Academy at YouTube, on YouTube.
Okay. You know, another question for you on this one, because I know we mentioned the different things that we're underinvested in, and I think we had talked briefly at the beginning about events and how the range between success and not is large. Are we overspending, underspending? What's your take on events?
Overspending a lot. So most B2B companies are overspending on events. And I think the reason is that we are, again, MQL hungry. We're hungry for leads. An event is a great opportunity to get a business card or a sign up. And I mean, it might differ, but all the cases we're running and have run in the past, events are an overinvestment.
Is there especially go ahead.
So especially in the traditional B2B companies, the ones with the longer history, I mean, they're just vastly overinvested into events. But and I think there are a few forces that are kind of making this stick a bit, because if you have 300 people in the marketing department, but most of them are good at events, brochures, roll-ups, and simple ads, it's very hard to move them into social selling, ABM, videos, and articles. That's a different skill set. So they will not naturally move in the new direction, because it's challenging their current knowledge base. You'll find a fight to keep the status quo there. But if you mathematically analyze your go-to-market mix, you'll see that events are actually giving you a less of a value than you think.
Yeah. You know, I can see that.
Mm.
They can be fun, right? I think
Yeah, yeah.
there's an
I'm not
enjoyable.
saying I'm not
Yeah,
saying strike them off. I'm saying reduce them significantly.
right.
So
But
like
I think
start by
yeah.
cutting 25 to 50% of the events
Okay.
and move it into content and ABM, for example, as a simple.
And I guess does that tie into travel? Have you seen anything with travel and sales and marketing? I mean, whether it's a big event they're going to, or maybe just
Mm,
office visits, or especially
right.
as we get into this remote culture, do you see anything with? Are we still going to need to travel? Sales still needs to
We
take
actually
place.
don't have a brilliant questions. We
Yeah.
don't yet have any analysis on whether virtual meetings or physical meetings are paying off more.
Right.
Uh, what I'm applying though, and have been applied in the last 10 years though, is a blend. I try to have as high proportion of online meetings as possible, but typically in a larger deal you eventually need to meet them face to face because there's some kind of chemistry. We need to feed each other out on a chemical level,
Right.
cultural level, get to know each other better, look each other in the eyes, and things like that to build the final trust layer.
Well,
So
yeah.
I don't think everything should be digital. That's not the point. I think you can, with great content, full funnel, with distributing it with a variety of PR, ABM, social, etc.,
Yeah.
and and tilting more towards online meetings than before. I mean, you're probably and we've done this for a while, but
Yeah.
you still see a lot of traditional B2B companies that are they think that we need to go and visit them physically.
Yeah.
Well, so I think this is another one from our research. The best mega dealers, and doesn't have to be $1 billion. I mean, the medium-sized to large deals salespeople, the best ones are great at disqualifying cases.
Mm.
So disqualify early and overinvest in the ones you have qualified in. But try to be really harsh and disqualify on a few attributes that you know are weakening the probabilities. Kick them out. Because the winning salespeople are disqualifying hard, and they overinvest time and money on resources on the ones with the best odds, basically. And that also goes well into virtual meetings. So you could have the first 2-3 interactions over a web meeting, and you're focusing on qualifying or disqualifying the case,
Yes.
getting their basic understanding, your basic understanding across, and then you go, okay, you can even ask them, guys, should we invest time and money into this process and go towards a purchase?
Mm.
And that's a pretty blunt question, but you typically get an answer like,
Yeah. True.
yeah, we're quite interested in actually making this happen. We might have another vendor involved as well, but we're kind of interested in making this happen. Okay, and then you present a suggested plan to close the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Not just let it happen by chance. You present, okay, so these are the 4 interactions that we need to go through.
Right.
And here's what you need to do. Here's what we will do prior to signing.
Right.
And then you're planning the close.
Mm.
So you're booking it in the calendar with the right stakeholders on both sides. And after each meeting, you have exit criteria. Like, okay, how can we? It's becoming very transparent, and they actually give you an investment decision, which is to invest time, and that's
Right.
the first win,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I know some companies try to really, really step up the time on their side to see if the prospect will follow them in that investment of time.
Right.
Do lots of meetings. Quick follow-on question for this, and you're right. There's some of these things we just need to go look under the hood or whatnot. As the world enjoys Netflix and enjoys the B2C buying culture, and you see some of that seeping into the B2B world, how does that play against trying to get the bigger and bigger mega deal if you're seeing a lot of this sort of B2C scalability, automation,
Yeah.
video? Is there a distinction? Do you just always need to fly
Yeah.
to your biggest deals?
Well, so before you had a lot of medium complex deals. Now you see a split. So the low end is becoming you even force it to be transactional.
Yeah.
You take some of the medium complex deals and you even simplify them to make them lower in complexity to enable a transactional selling, meaning as automated as you possibly can.
Right.
The other end of the spectrum, so the mega deal spectrum or the large deal spectrum, is actually going in the other direction. So up here, you see deals are becoming more complete. So you're bundling more stuff. You're actually going from, okay, if this was your original deal, now 5 years later, you have added more stuff to it. You've made the deal even juicier, larger.
Right.
So it's kind of a split. And both of them are becoming heavily influenced by digital stuff, but just in different ways.
Right.
So my specialty is not the transactional end. My specialty is up here. How do you digitalize and how do you win bigger deals with less resources?
Right.
And so basically,
pointing right at the book. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how do you win larger deals faster with less resources in total? So a better blend of sales and marketing and the various tactics.
Better blend.
Yeah.
Great. And then and then it's like, get the book.
Yeah, I mean, it's on megadeals.com or on Amazon, or you find it on a bunch of places. And also this podcast, I mean, it's a very short time that we have together, so you've just got a few snippets, but also some of the insights here are from Proof Analytics, and some of them are from Megadeals. So I really like where I'm at right now with this blend of mathematics and research.
Yes.
And it's all around how to optimize the go-to-market mix. Love that kind of stuff.
It is fascinating, and you are in this sort of centerpiece of different data fields and methodologies and logics coming into one. My next question,
and also working across continents, across industries, these two approaches. Yeah.
For sure. Geography.
Yeah. I'm a total nerd.
But cool one. And it's a cool topic too. So really, who are you? Like, could you take us back in time? What's it like being, little Christopher? Did you grow up in Sweden? What was it like? And did you always know you're going to, be a mathematical marketer?
Oh, no, not at all. So, I grew up in a town called Luleå, which is 70,000 people up north. So it's very close to the polar circle. So basically Alaska, if you want. I
just looked it up on the map.
Right. So it's very close to Finland. So it's up in the bay between Sweden and Finland. I have two younger siblings. I was playing a lot of soccer. I was, basically doing a ton of sports. My parents are both coming from the public sector, so I actually have very little background from them, both in entrepreneurship and marketing and mathematics. None of that. I mean, I love my parents; they're great. But in sixth grade, I remember in sixth grade, they couldn't help me more in school, so they kind of ran out. Yeah, they ran out of capabilities to help. I mean, both of them I really love them. They're great. They've been helping me a lot, but on the kind of intellectual side, that ended sixth grade. So I kind of deviated into another direction, which is a lineup of companies, and I started my first company in fourth grade, actually.
Really?
So when I was 9 or 10 years, it was kind of a small scale, but it was still a company. And I remember my dad was in the military, so public sector, but on the military side. So he got a card where he got access to buying directly from the middleman. So in the retail space. So we went into this big warehouse where it was not fancy at all, just big boxes. And then we went past the candy department, and you had these huge boxes of candy. Wow. And I was looking at the price. I'm like, Dad, this is 1/10 of the retail price. He was like, yeah. I'm like, can I have a few months of allowance? Do you call it allowance?
Yeah,
a few months of allowance to buy a few boxes. He's like, no, you're not going to eat that can. I'm not going to eat it. I'm going to sell it.
I'm going to sell it, yeah.
So he gave me a few months in advance, and I bought a few of these huge boxes. And at that point in time, we were frequently out in the archipelago. And in the Luleå archipelago is absolutely beautiful. Sand beaches everywhere, sweet water, despite being the ocean, because there's so many rivers ending up in the same place. So, but there are no restaurants on the islands. So we were spending several weeks out in the archipelago, and there were no access to candy. So
Right.
supply and demand. Yeah. So I bought these
So
boxes.
there's no access. There's
No,
not.
there's no access. Yeah,
Oh,
there's no
wow.
candy. So I ran this little candy shop in the boat, and it was this kind of larger boat with beds and stuff. So I was having this candy shop, and I remember my friends, they're like, "Oh, bloody you're going to make money on us." I'm like, "You don't have to buy." And they're like, "But we want it." I'm like, "Well, then you buy."
Like, you don't have to buy it.
You don't have to buy it, but I was selling it at 10 times the price that I paid for it. So
Right.
I mean, this is small scale, but and then in sixth grade I started. So I stopped doing that after a while. In sixth grade, I started another company, which was buying directly from the producers soccer and ice hockey equipment.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine and I, he actually ended up in the NHL. We're selling this to the teams in our, I mean, an hour drive away, kind of that circle. And I remember the sports store owners contacted us and tried to shut us down because we were just dropping and it's basic, simple. We didn't even realize it was entrepreneurship. So we basically took the retail price, dropped it by 15%. I mean, we had no
15, 1.5 or 5.0?
1.5. No, okay. 1.5. But on a hockey equipment is like
expensive.
It's $5,000. It's a lot of money, or 3,000 to 5. It's a lot of money
for what the skates. I know the skates are really
skates and all the maybe that's too much, but it's a few $1,000s normally. Yeah. So it's not cheap, right?
The whole kit, right? You're saying like for the whole kit?
Yeah. The whole the helmet, and the whole kit, the bag, and all kind of stuff. And that 5,000 is too much, but it's a lot of money for a young person with not a great, So, and that 15% was substantial, right? Yes. But we had no costs, so for us it was still a pretty nice margin. So it was very basic. We told them, go to the store and try it out, and then you come to us. So it wasn't the nicest way of doing business, but that was. We just played around with it.
It kind of reminds me. That's what the bookstores are. That's what the bookstores are doing these days, right? Exactly, you go to the bookstore. Exactly. Yeah, I might like that, or let me buy it on Amazon.
And then you go online. Yeah. So that was basically it. Wow. And those sports store owners were really and we were young. I mean, we were kind of kids, but they were like. I remember one of them said, "Okay, guys, if you shut this down, I'll give you $1,000." We're like, "No, that's the margin on one." That's the margin. Well,
yeah.
No, we're not selling it for $1,000.
Wow. Why'd you get out of that? You just got into something else?
No, I mean, my dream was not to build a sports retailer. It was just for fun.
For fun. Experimentation. Trying.
I loved selling. Yeah. So I loved the whole selling part of it and trying to be a bit smart. I mean, those business ideas were really kind of low end, but it was fun, Yep. And what do you call him in Donald Duck? You have this greedy guy.
Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge McDuck. Yeah. So my friends are like, "Oh, you're Scrooge McDuck." I'm like, "You don't have to buy.
You don't have to
you
buy, bro.
You don't have to buy, bro. But you make money on us." I'm like, "Yeah, but you don't have to buy." I'm like, "Yeah, but we have nowhere else to go." I'm like, "Yeah."
It's still cheaper than what you could have been buying.
Yeah, it's cheaper. It's cheaper. And yeah.
So did you just keep starting different companies and
right? Yeah, good question. So I did university both in Luleå and Stockholm, so around industrial management and engineering. I also did 1 year of French studies in France and 1 year of Italian studies in Italy.
Really?
So kind of a mix. And
a
then
whole year?
Yeah.
That sounds like fun. Let's be honest.
That was great. Yeah, it's actually the two most fun years in my life. So both becoming fluent in those languages, but also the whole thing around it. Like when you're young, you live by yourself for the first time in your life, and it was great fun.
Absolutely.
And the cool thing about the thing in Italy is I also played soccer there, not in the Serie A, but so kind of semi-pro league.
Okay.
Anyway.
So you're not AC Milan, but almost.
No. But it's actually the second best team in Florence after Fiorentina. So it was a decent team. Our coach was the former junior national team coach. So
wow.
And we beat the junior national team 6-0. So we weren't that bad, but and most of my teammates, they lived off of the salary, but it was not the is it Tom Brady? It wasn't the
Right.
gazillion-dollar contracts.
No,
It was
not a
more,
big contract.
It was more enough money to pay a small rent and a cheap car and food stuff.
Sounds like how baseball was in the old days for the U.S.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
town to town, just
Yeah.
paying your rent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I ended up doing. I actually did. I was a translator for the Italian national team in soccer during the European Championship. So
Really?
yeah, and that was pretty cool. You know, it was in Italy. I mean, the highest education people, they do speak English, but most Italians actually don't speak English. It's very rudimentary English. So I basically had to translate, even when the players went to buy ice cream, I had to translate for them. So I was constantly translating for 3-4 weeks, like nonstop translating.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could definitely get some expertise in a language doing that. Jeez.
Right.
So,
and that was my taste of AC Milan.
Right.
Yeah.
To be there during that kind of a time, I mean.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Did you have like a pass and you got to go with the team everywhere? Or how?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I also translated the interviews, and it was. I remember one. I don't want to name it, but it was one player, one of the forwards, that in all the interviews was a complete ass. Like whatever the journalist asked, this person said, "Yeah, I'm the best. I'm kind of dominate everything." It was really like,
Jeez.
So I had to soften it up a bit. So I made it a bit smoother. So what he really said here was like, but the journalist, I don't know if I should have done that, but I did it. So I made it a bit softer.
It's a great question, right? I mean, I know a lot of fighters and, you know, combat sports, they like to sound edgy, but for your, you know, if you're a footballer and, you know, and you sound like a total jerk, then who knows? But only you know how bad he was at that moment, you know?
And then I moved down to Stockholm and did an extra year of, so I added computer science to my university education. And so I had this blend of industrial management and engineering, mathematics and computer science. And at this point in time, I thought marketing was BS. Like, you know, me and my best friend, we were like, the people that choose marketing, they're just not smart, right? They're just,
it's like an easy right? It's not
it's like they take the easy way out. So we want to do real science. Now, then I became a marketeer. So Magnus, my best, he's now a professor in mathematical statistics. So he went all in on that.
He went for it.
Yeah. Oh, he went ballistic on it. But so I mentioned this earlier today. He teases me for doing branded sausages and, you know, these commercial pens and the balloons and the branded T-shirts, and he says that's what I'm doing now.
Right. Branded sausages. I haven't heard that one before.
No, it's just that's an internal joke. Because they're normally not branded. It's just for fun. But I give that to him. It's okay. We just play around with it. I tease him for being this geek with the thick glasses.
Oh, really?
He's in a basement somewhere.
Right. Writing mathematical formulas on the wall.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Yeah, and so basically, and you asked me what happened then. So I did work in consulting 1 year. I was like, I need to get some kind of insights. I was really keen on entrepreneurship already then, but I wanted 1 year of practice. So I went into management consulting, kind of a Swedish version of Accenture, if you like.
Right.
And I did 1 year, and I was involved in a bunch of projects. And this was actually during the dot-com boom. Yeah. So I saw a lot of my classmates starting this and the other great startup in the digital space.
Okay.
So I was like, I need to go and do that somehow. So I founded a company that is running now in the Nordics, is a dominant player running electronic gift certificates and vouchers.
Oh wow, yeah, okay.
And in the early, we were actually the first in the world doing. Now it's kind of everyone does it, but we were the first in the world doing barcodes in the phone, and that you could scan at the point of sale, instead of having a paper voucher.
Paper voucher.
So
You just
so
scan it.
so
So much
yeah.
easier when you can do that. So much
Oh
easier.
yeah, I mean now it's kind of everyone's going, yeah, that's obvious, but we were the
Right.
first in the world doing that, and then I took a 1-year pause from entrepreneurship. I was CIO at a big fashion retailer,
No
which is
kidding.
not really my profile.
You say CIO. That's a different path.
Yeah, it was but they so I was representing one of their vendors, so the retail voucher company, and they asked me over lunch, so we're actually looking for someone like you being the CIO. You're probably not on the market, but you don't lose anything if you just ask the question. And I was in a period where I was really tired. I hadn't realized how you grow a company, so I was doing it on brute force.
Right.
And I wish I knew about these Megadeals stuff that we now know, because it was just brutal hours, hardworking. And actually the first time we went bankrupt. So we failed the first time, we restarted it, and then it worked. Yeah. I mean, so there's a video about some of this on Inc.com. So if you Google Inc.com space Christopher Engman, you'll find an article and an embedded video, which is like an 8-minute documentary talking about some of the failures I made. Anyway,
you didn't stop there though. It sounds like it. I mean,
no. I was going, okay. I don't want to stop doing entrepreneurship, but I've learned a lot. So I did 1 year of corporate career, kind of CIO. Not really my profile, but they wanted someone that was more business savvy instead of techie, right?
Yeah.
So and they were doing a lot of acquisitions and stuff. So there was a different brain needed during a certain period. Sure. So I was doing that, but then I started a company called Taxi System. So I actually wanted to do what Uber does and those kind of, we had that kind of system way before them, but my two co-founders wanted to sell software. So we were kind of internally debating.
Yeah.
I wanted to sell it as a service. I wanted to connect the various taxi companies to each other. So it became a network that you can just order online and all that kind of stuff. But we had completely different visions. And I'm not saying we would have succeeded, but we were several years before Uber and those kind of guys with a smartphone-based solution. But anyway, so that company then later on was sold to KKR, is an American private equity company.
Sure.
I mean, so it was kind of good anyway. But
you get a little bit of an exit there.
I think it would have been way more exciting to run and because I mean Uber, those guys were not they didn't exist. This was several years before them.
Yeah.
And the penetration was already there for smartphones, so that was not, it could have happened earlier. Anyway, and then I was, during the years of running this taxi software business, I played around with a lot of actually lead generation. So how do you get meetings with busy people? So we were trying combinations of letters, emails, sometimes even faxes that we used. And we tried various combinations of this and actually combining the knowledge from being in a large company on the retail side with all the internal politics and all that kind of stuff. And you realize that it's not 2-3 decision makers making these kind of large decisions. Actually, we're a pretty large group of people. So the consensus piece of enterprise B2B is pretty huge. We talk a lot about that in the Megadeals book. Like, how do you run the consensus game? So we started to play around with, because taxi companies are actually driven by a group of cab owners. So the cab owners typically own the booking service together, and they want to. So you can't. It's not like selling to one decision maker. You sell to a group of owners. It's like selling to a law firm. They are partners.
Yeah,
it's like you have the senior partner, the named partners, the senior partners. Blah blah blah. It's a similar structure in a taxi company. So it was a lot of lobbying involved. So we played around with a few different tactics there, and then so when I left that business, I took the knowledge from being high up in a retail company and the knowledge of doing lead generation for taxi system, and that became the start of a company that that was first in the world doing account-based marketing. So 2 years before someone like Demandbase, for example, we did. So we actually used IP numbers to pinpoint accounts.
Yeah.
And then we kind of reached out to a few media companies and so we asked them, so can you put IP numbers in your system? And they're like, yeah, we can. So how do you use that? We asked them. So, well, we use it to preview online ads, display ads prior to launching a campaign. So we put in our own IP numbers, so in our own office. So when we go on to a big newspaper site, we can see them. If it looks good and everything, we then launch it to the rest of the population.
I see.
So I was like, okay, can your ad system swallow 100,000 IP numbers? And they're like, no, it's only 264. And I'm like, 264? That is a hexadecimal number,
right?
Which is quite often used in IT.
Yeah.
So it's like,
interesting. It would be that number.
Yeah. So I was like, that must be a database limitation that is set by a random programmer, because you have to set some kind of limitation.
Some kind of, yeah.
Yeah, you have to put some. I mean, you can't just put an array in a database and let it be. You need to decide.
You gotta.
Yeah. Infinite doesn't exist.
Though. Yeah.
So yeah, arbitrary. Exactly, arbitrary. So I was like, so who's the supplier of this ad system? Well, it's a German company. So I asked for who's the account manager, and I called that guy, a German guy, obviously. And I said to him, so we're trying to do a thing here with this media company, and it looks like there's a database limitation on the number of IP numbers you can swallow, and the number is 264. Can you please check with your R&D team if that is database setting, and if it is, if you can change it so we can swallow many 100,000 IP numbers in one go.
Right. And
he actually called back in just a few hours, and he said, yeah, it's a database setting. We've now changed it. Just I was expecting a whole different political game around it, but they were just it was boom.
Yeah.
A few hours later, it was updated. So I was like, okay, wow, cool. So then we researched IP numbers for a set of initial clients, and we, for my clients, and then we emailed over like just a text file. These 100,000 IP numbers representing 17 target accounts, and please, here are the 7 ads we want to book. Here is the IP number you should upload in the now altered ad system. So they did that, and our clients were amazed. They're like, really? Can you take the biggest media sites in Europe and show the ads only to my 17 high priority accounts? We were like, yeah. Like, that's crazy. So we charge 10 cents per ad impression.
Okay. Well,
wow. And that's very high, because the price sensitivity on that wasn't there. Right. They're like, I'm prepared to pay that. Now we altered it down to,
because it's so targeted, and that's the whole point. Yeah.
We lowered it to 3 cents later, which is it's still a few multiples of the real the price of a untargeted ad. So we had a
candy to marketers.
Yes, exactly. And some of the people in this is the biggest media company in the Nordics. They were like, oh, Christopher, you're the guy who's buying minced meat and you're selling beef fillet. I'm like, yeah. Basically. So we want to charge you more. I'm like, well, and luckily programmatic then came in, so you could buy impressions on a bidding basis. So they couldn't squeeze us, right? So It was an open market and all that kind of stuff. So that was the birth of the IP target ads which is now, common sense if you want to do slightly larger deals and to target accounts. Yeah. So we were the first in the world doing that 2 years prior to. Does that make you
the godfather of account-based marketing?
No, I wouldn't
Technology?
Say that. So account-based marketing is a philosophy rather.
True.
But you could say I was the godfather of IP targeted ads, which is a pretty important vehicle within the account-based marketing spectrum.
Really important vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah, we were absolutely the first doing that. It was 2 years you might have heard of companies like the Man-Base, etc.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were 2 years before them doing that.
Terminus, all that. Yep.
Yeah, Terminus. Yeah. I know Sangram and those guys. So
Oh, do you? Yeah,
and
yeah.
Eric
Yeah, he's
Spat.
been on
Yeah,
here. We chat too.
yeah. He's actually a small shareholder as well in Proof Analytics.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Small world. He's a great guy. He's
Oh
a
yeah,
great
love
guy.
him. Yeah, love him. Yeah. No, but we exited that company fairly early because in my two first, not the can is a sports company. There were no exit involved. That was just
just
small company just for fun, right? But my first two companies were pretty low on the exit side.
Sure.
So then with Vendemore, and that was this pioneer in account-based marketing, we got a bid from a kind of the European equivalent to Dun & Bradstreet. They were saying, okay, we really want to buy your company. And I was like, well, it's several years too early. But
yeah, exactly.
But we, at this point in time, we had over 100 Fortune 500 companies as clients. So we were kind of moving into a pretty good position. And we also we were the first company in the world getting Gartner, the cool vendor from Gartner in the ABM space. So we were the first getting that. The Man-Base got it 1 month later.
Right.
But anyway, so I sold that company because I was so keen on getting a decent amount on my bank account, not to buy a boat and house and stuff, but to be able to move into other type of business magnitude.
Right.
Because I didn't want to run around with, pennies on the dollar.
2 pennies.
Yeah. So I was, okay, this is a completely different amount, and it will create a platform for me to, because I prefer the scale up phase to the startup phase. And also the Megadeal insights are more applicable to business that already has a proven product with the first 5, 10, 50, whatever set of really happy clients.
Yeah.
Where the next step is to really scale sales and marketing.
Right.
That's where that's my zone. Yep. And that's actually a zone where you're benefiting from coming into companies later, not starting them. So, so I rather come in with an investment, and I add the Megadeals skill sets and knowledge into it.
Yep.
And I often actually get a discount on the shares because of that specific knowledge.
I can see that.
So they're kind of making it even often transparently to the other investors. They're giving me better terms.
Right.
Or they top it up with a bunch of warrants or stuff like that.
Right.
Because people want that kind of expertise on the board.
If it helps the overall outcome, everybody wins.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a win-win. So basically, I invest in enterprise style B2B scale-ups, often in the either software space with a slight overweight on marketing related stuff, and the other category is sustainability scale-ups. Those kind of green energy and those kind of things.
Sure.
Where and both of them are really good for the Megadeals and the proof analytics thinking and those kind of models and methods. So that's where I invest money and also add my expertise.
That's awesome. That sounds like you get to you have multiple hockey and candy shops. You're all over the place, and you get a chance to try things and
exactly. So the cool thing is that it's kind of a symbiosis.
Yeah.
Because I get to apply the constantly iterated set of skills and knowledges into these investments, but those are also working at laboratories to get insights back into the discipline, right? So we try things out and we see, okay, it's funny. In this case, it doesn't really work. Why? Okay, and then you go, what if we tweak it like this? And we also test new things, especially some new technologies that we wouldn't put them in the Megadeals book because they're still untested.
Sure.
But we can test them in some of these companies. So there are scale ups. You can still take 10% of your marketing spend and play around with it and see what happens.
Right.
So
like active laboratory. You can pick which organization would be the right one to try this on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't want to say what it is, but we're looking at such a thing right now that we really believe in. It's a new piece of technology for the marketing space. we want to try it on, not, so I'm involved in 14 companies, but want to try it on 5 of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not even just one. Tried on 5.
Yeah, exactly. And the
great.
thing here, so I can negotiate with that vendor as Megadeals, and I say, so so the normal ticket is X, and I'm saying, well, I can pay X, but I want to spread it across 5 companies, and they go, okay. And then, so I have the leverage of the 14 companies,
right,
to actually reduce the ticket per company. But they also know that if it works for those 5, it goes back into the Megadeals discipline, which is spread out across large companies, B2B scale-ups, etc. So it's kind of a win-win.
The 14 or so, and then everyone else who follows you as a thought leader.
And exactly.
He's working on this. We got to follow this. We got to do this. Yeah.
So I want to be. I want to be kind of stay cutting edge into B2B marketing and sales enterprise kind of game, with an overweight on larger deals. But most of the things we've got in the Megadeals book is applicable for companies doing medium-sized deals. I mean, a few $100,000 and up. Right. And the stuff around messaging is applicable even to really small ticket companies, because most people don't have a systematic approach to messaging and content.
Exactly. No road they're following. They're just kind of all over the place, but there's some structure here, and it's a well-worn path that you have proven, and you continue to test and test against. So
exactly. Yeah.
Hey, where can people connect with you? They want to learn more about you for sure. We got to get them to the book's website, the different videos you've talked about. Throw some social sites out at us, some links, emails.
So on LinkedIn, you search for Christopher Engman, so CHPH, Christopher Engman with an E. And I'm probably the first name that come up. It's not many people carrying my name.
Take out the other one, so you're the only one.
Exactly. And on Twitter, I'm Chris Engman. You can also go to proofanalytics.ai. There's a lot of stuff about me, with me. I'm after the founder, the second largest shareholder there, and I'm super active, both publicly and internally, etc. So, but then also Megadeals.com. There's some of the recorded. If you want to go deeper into some of the subsets of it, like content, there's a recorded webinar on that. We're launching soon some pretty cool webinars on Megadeals negotiation, for example. That's really interesting. We're also having soon an interview with and we run a podcast as well, Megadeals podcast. Right? Yeah, and you find it on iTunes, on Spotify, and what have you, and basically all the podcast platforms. So Megadeals podcast. You just go in and search for Megadeals and you find it.
Yeah, they all pop up. I also noted that the Under the Hood, you have some links from your LinkedIn profile to the Under the Hood videos. So
yes, exactly. Yeah. So if you go into my LinkedIn feed, you'll find quite a few videos and articles and that kind of stuff.
Has anyone asked you? Has Magnus asked you about your LinkedIn photo? Because you look pretty angry in that LinkedIn photo.
This one.
Is that the finger that points at sales saying, "I'm going to reduce you so we can increase"?
No, it's kind of a. There was an old American ad. I mean, it's ages ago that was looking like that. I can't even remember the brand. So it's just for fun. I'm nowhere near an angry person, but it's kind of.
It's been so fun.
Yeah, but it's that picture. People are going like, who just my wife just went by. So people are going like, who's that guy? Is he completely an asshole, or is he just playing, or is he just playing around? So I hope anyway, people get curious when they go like, who?
For sure.
Who is this guy? Right.
For sure. And you can see from the videos Under the Hood down below that brilliant, smart, and a little more friendly than that photo up top. I like it though. I think it's like, because I remember when we first were chatting, I'm like, holy God, who am I going to be chatting with? Is he just going to like eat me up?
No.
It's been so much fun.
Yeah, likewise. And the last source. I mentioned earlier. So Google Inc.com /Christopher Engman. You'll find a pretty good article written about, can't remember his name, but he actually saw this documentary on entrepreneurship, and he wrote an article about it in Inc.com. And he then asked me, is it okay that I put in your video? Embed it? I'm like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So and also that that 8-minute video is kind of talking about some of the shortcomings during my entrepreneurial career, some of the mistakes and what I've learned from those, and actually talking a lot about my strongest value, which is to learn fast. Learning fast is more important than short-term prestige, and that value has made me more relaxed. It's made me more happy because it takes a lot of tension away. A lot of pressure is going away. You don't have to have the answer. It's okay to fail as long as you constantly evolve. And if you get criticism, ask for more, right? Because so if you really put learning fast before prestige, you're evolving fast. And that is, you don't need to hunt for success or confirmations. You're getting it. Because, and this is, I made the calculation, it's pretty simple. So if you grow 2% per year faster than the rest, after 20 years, you're 46% better. If you grow 5% per year over a 20-year period, I can't remember the number, but it's over 100% better. So if the accumulated learning per year is just a bit better than the crowd, you're going like this.
Right. And I got to imagine the status quo is probably flat or maybe down.
Yeah. And it's also, if you have colleagues that are really into learning fast, and it's okay to fail, it's okay to be wrong, it's okay to give and get feedback. That ambience is pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty, it's fun, and it's, we fail, we make mistakes, no issue. Yeah. As long as we move on and learn something.
You have that zone where you can just do that, just experiment, push, try, learn, and you're not worried about the ego hit from the prestige.
No, and I was when I was younger than 30, I was very prestige driven. Like,
sure.
I was very prestige driven. So I put prestige over learning fast. So if I was in a meeting where they talked about stuff that I didn't understand, I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to reveal that I didn't understand. Now I go, guys, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? And typically people are coming to me after meeting and go, Christopher, I'm glad you asked that question. I didn't know what they meant either.
I didn't know it either. Yeah.
I didn't know it either. I just didn't dare to ask. So I'm glad you did. So I sometimes just exaggerate this and really ask dumb questions.
Yeah. And it's only dumb if you didn't ask it. And exactly. I've seen that with conference rooms too, right? You have a whole room of people, and thank goodness somebody asked the question because we're all thinking it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, this has been so much fun. I feel like I could talk to you for a whole day, but I know it's the time zones are flipped here, and this has been fantastic. But thank you so much for coming on here and just chatting.
Yeah, thank you, Casey.
Things.
Likewise. I'll follow I've listened to a few episodes. I'll follow your show, and I think your style is very. I like your style. It's very nice. It's kind of. You're driven by curiosity and exploring and pretty, I really like it.
And not afraid to ask, right?
Good man.
Yeah. I've definitely had people say, you don't know enough about ABM because they just keep asking about it,
Right.
And that's fine. People, people can learn with me. We can all learn together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
So on that note, for those people listening, if you did learn something, and I know you did because I literally have 2 pages of notes over here, then I ran out of space. I don't know if you can see. I had to go in the margins.
I'm glad. Yeah.
Then if you're like me, share this episode with someone else. Be a thought leader to 12 people, 80 people, however many people on LinkedIn. If you're listening to this and you learn something, get that information out there. And, Chris, thank you again. We'll definitely love to chat with you later on, and maybe we'll get into the weeds on something like some other topic. Maybe after COVID, see how things are changing,
Gladly. Thank you, Casey. My pleasure.
Thanks again, man. For everyone else listening, this has been the Hardcore Marketing Show. We'll catch you all next time. All right. A big thank you to today's sponsors. Cheshire Impact, helping marketers and sales win, maximizing the use of Pardot and Salesforce. And a big thank you to quantified.com, the #1 live chat and chatbot platform for Salesforce and Pardot. Remember the giveaway. If you have Salesforce Pardot and you want a free copy of my book, Marketing Automation Unleashed, then you go over to qualified.com, engage in a chat, do a demo, and tell them that Casey sent you, and that book will be on its way to your door. All right. We'll see you all in the next one.